6. O Lord, rebuke me not in your anger, nor discipline me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am languishing. Heal me, O Lord, for my bones are troubled. My soul is also greatly troubled, but you, O Lord, how long? Turn, O Lord, deliver my life, save me for the sake of your steadfast love. For in death there is no remembrance of you. In Sheol, who will give you praise? I am weary with my moaning. Every night I flood my bed with tears. I drench my couch with my weeping. My eye wastes away because of its grief. It grows weak because of all of my foes. Depart from me, all you workers of evil, for the Lord has heard the sound of my weeping. The Lord has heard my plea, and the Lord accepts my prayer. All my enemies shall be ashamed and greatly troubled. They shall turn back and be put to shame in a moment. So what we have here in Psalm 6 is a psalm of lament and a psalm of begging God to do something about these troubles. So this is a psalm of David, and we don't know which trouble it was in his life that led to this psalm being written, but there are quite a few to choose from where this would have been appropriate. So what he does is very interesting, and I want us to learn this as a matter of, how to approach God, how to have a relationship with God. Let me read you verse 5 again. He says, for in death there is no remembrance of you. In Sheol, who will give you praise? What he's doing here is he's building a case before God. You see, God listens to us, not just listening to us recite, prescribed prayers, which is a fine thing to do, but that's not where his engagement with us stops. We can actually tell him our thoughts and our feelings. We can bring our questions to him. We can say, oh Lord, how long? When are you going to jump in and fix this? We can ask him those things. And then also something we can do is build a case before God and say, look, here's how I'm seeing things. So in David's case, if I die from this, then how am I going to bring you praise among your people as I'm doing right now? He's like, essentially, and I'm filling in some gaps here, but he's like, I am the king of Israel, and I can write the songs that Israel will be singing for thousands of years to praise you. If I die, that's over. So it would be better for the kingdom of God if I were to stay alive right now. And, you want to say these things submissively. It's like, not my will be done, but your will be done sort of thing, like Jesus said. But it's okay to build a case before God. It's a good thing. It's part of relating to him. Here's what I want. And honestly, God, here's why. And just lay that out with submission. But, tell him what you're thinking. I mean, he knows it anyway, right? And sometimes, just as a practical note, in laying out a case before God, we either talk ourselves into something wise or out of something unwise. It's like we lay out our case and we're like, you know what? Now that I'm saying that out loud, maybe that's not such a good idea. I mean, that happens. And so he lays out a case before God, which is what a disciple has the ability to do. We get to boldly approach the throne of grace, right? Now, we're approaching somebody who is in charge, so we don't get to put demands on him, but we get to have some boldness in certain measure in that relationship. And then he goes, like verse 9, for example, the Lord has heard my plea. The Lord accepts my prayer. And that's not the gospel, but that's an effect of the gospel. That's a symptom of the gospel having taken root, that I was an enemy of God, but he has looked kindly on me with his loving kindness. Because of, in our case, on this side of the cross, David couldn't say this with such specificity, but because of the blood of Christ, because of Jesus taking my place as a sinner, God has met all of the preconditions for my unity with him, for him hearing my prayer. And so because it is finished, the Lord accepts my prayer. So he builds a case before God, and then he declares confidently that God heard him. Having no idea what God's answer is going to be, he knows he has been heard. Why? Because we have a God who's full of loving kindness and who has made a way for us to be heard by him.